I'm Brigantia, Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to this week's Divination demonstration. We're going to be looking at a very special Samhain spread. We are, of course, going to be using the Halloween Tarot written by Karen Lee and illustrated by Kipling West. We have 6 cards in this. If you imagine a little line in between the two of them, you'll have 3 on top and then 3 on bottom. The top cards will represent the upper world, and the bottom cards will represent the underworld. I chose this because whether we're talking about Wicca or another form of witchcraft, one of the things that really defines who a witch is and what a witch does is having a foot on both sides of the veil, and I think this tarot spread does a really good job illustrating that concept, and it's a handy-dandy way for us practitioners to kind of check in to see how everything is going. So, card number 1, this will be in the upper world. It asks what to embrace. For this, our querent drew strength of the major arcana. The idea is that the lion tamer has to be stronger than the lion. And obviously this isn't referring to physical prowess, because any lion is going to greatly outclass any human being. I mean, period. That's just the way nature has arranged things. But when it comes to strength of will, that is where the difference really lies. And you'll see how tender the lion tamer is being. This is obviously showing persuasion, gentleness, having an inner strength, quiet determination, being very soothing, and utilizing your best instincts. And that is really what this is all about. This is about embracing our own best instincts. It's about having inner strength and being able to have this solid core within ourselves, so that even when everything else around us falls apart, as it inevitably does from time to time in life, we still have that core. And as long as we have that core, we retain the capacity to be able to take action and to deal with what's going on around us. Now our second card represents death, and this will be in the underworld section. And death is really symbolizing what to let go of, and for this our querent drew the 6 of Imps. Now imps, if you recall, they relate to the suit of wands, so think the element of fire and projective energy. This is a bit of an odd card to be showing up in a slot about what to let go of. It's about success, the pleasure of recognition gained through creative hard work. It's also about stability, taking action, being optimistic, triumph, making advancements. So why would any of these things be something to let go of? I think in this context we have to hone in on the idea about the pleasure of recognition. Now all of us like to get a pat on the back from time to time, but perhaps we pursue that out of a sense of vanity. Maybe we need to focus a little bit more on doing what we're doing well and making a good job of it than in getting reactions from other people. It's food for thought. Next, the third card represents courage, and this will be in the upper world. For courage, our querent drew the Queen of Pumpkins. The suit of pumpkins relates to the suit of pentacles, so think earth and also receptive energy. And the queens, of course, they represent mature women, and this one in particular, you might think of the qualities of generosity, nurturing, creativity. But this card is also about fostering a deep connection with nature, fertility, and this can be literal or figurative, but it's also about putting practical talents to good use. Sometimes it is very frightening to show the rest of the world what we're actually good at. It takes courage to showcase our skills and our talents, because there's always going to be a critic, and there's always going to be someone who's, better at it, whatever we're doing, than we are. It's just life. But that doesn't mean that we don't have something to contribute. It doesn't mean we don't have something valuable to share. And maybe it's going to take an extra amount of courage to share whatever it is that querent needs to be sharing with other people. But it's a necessary thing. And I find myself more and more in a lot of readings, whether it's for myself or for other people, saying, look, we are being asked to face difficult things. We are being asked to do difficult things. And just because it's difficult or because it's taking us outside of our comfort zone, or we're feeling nervous about it, not a good enough reason not to pursue it. So that's something to keep in mind when we're getting direction like this, through whether it's through tarot cards or through other forms of divination. Next, in the Underworld, we have fears. And for fears, our querent got the Two of Imps. Remember, imps relate to wands, the element of fire, and projective energy. Now, the Two of Imps represents a bold leader, having to resolve conflicts to facilitate a new enterprise, but it also represents a new partnership and success. There are several different directions this could go if this is representing fear. Perhaps the querent has issues with authority, and so someone who's leading and leading successfully, that could be intimidating, even off-putting. Perhaps this person is being called upon to take the lead and feels inadequate to the task. I mean, that would certainly be a pretty reasonable fear. Partnerships, the reason to fear a partnership would of course be fear of losing it, or the idea of perhaps that partnership would go very badly. And even to a certain extent, sometimes we do fear success. Because if we fear success, then we might be called upon to do another challenge. And we might be faced with regrets of, oh, well, I could be successful. Why didn't I do this before? It's about the fear of being caught up in looking backwards, even when things go well, or not being able to trust when things go well. You know, how often are things going well in someone's life, and then someone says, oh, well, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, as if they have to be punished for feeling happiness or having a success of some kind. So this is a kind of an interesting thing to come up for fear. Now, next, the fifth card is about content to celebrate. So this will be in the upper world. And for that, our querent has the Page of Bats. Bats relate to the suit of swords, the element of air, and projective energy. And this particular page, which can be a literal person, is someone who's very eager, graceful, intuitive, someone on the younger side, usually female, but can also be male. But this is someone who's also on a mission, a fact-finding mission. And one of the notes says that this page is someone who has a flair for spydom. And there is something about this page that gives the idea that they're off on a secret mission, and isn't it very exciting? I think, and the idea of this being something to celebrate, I think this is about someone who has very curious instincts, perhaps scholarly instincts, someone who just wants to know, doesn't want to have their vanity flattered, doesn't want to be confronted with things to be afraid of, just wants to know what is, and taking joy in finding out what is factual, what is real, what is accurate. That actually is a really good trait, especially nowadays when reality is not given its due. I'll put it that way. Now, the last card for this is about contemplation, and it is in the Underworld. And for this, our querent drew the Queen of Imps. So again, suit of wands, fire, projective energy. Possibility that this could picture a literal person in the querent's life. This would be someone who is kind, generous, and curious. Someone who enjoys the wonders of the world and finding out how things work. Perhaps someone, if not scientifically minded, but someone who might have an interest in, say, archaeology or the humanities. Someone who enjoys the manifestation of creativity. But as a card, this represents successful endeavors, be it with the family, the home, a career, or with growing things. So for this to be contemplation, this might be thinking through the steps we might need to take in order to become successful, or what constitutes success. And it might also picture mentor. Our querent might be needing a mentor to guide them through a difficult passage. So, interesting spread. I will have a visual of it posted in the Magical Tidbits channel at Blackbird's Brew on Discord. If you decide to use this particular spread, let me know how it turned out for you. I love to talk tarot, so it would be a pleasure to get into a discussion. And if you are new to tarot and you put out the cards for yourself and you're just not quite sure how it all fits together, absolutely come discuss it with us at Blackbird's Brew. We have people who use different forms of divination. All of us are practiced, experienced hands, and we can probably help you start making some connections and um, teach you a few handy techniques to make reading the cards for yourself just a little bit easier. So by all means, come visit us there. There will be a link in the description box below in order for you to join. And of course, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment. I will see you in another one. Bye.